Hey friends, happy Saturday. I'm just gonna call this a Saturday ramble because I didn't make an outline except for this, but we're gonna talk today about, are your emotions crushing your purpose? And I've been thinking a lot this week about things that get in our way, and negative emotions are one of them. And I pulled this out, this little thing I got from Temu, and it's like an emotions wheel. And I noticed last night how these are the positive emotions. They have a surprise category, which some of those are actually negative, dismayed, and they have a happy category. But then this is the fear category, this is the anger category, this is disgust, and this is sad. And I thought, well, that's kind of sad that there are so many more negative emotions listed, and I don't know where they got these from, than there are positive emotions. And our ability to regulate emotions can really get in the way of being able to figure out our purpose and pursue it actively. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 things that can help you when you are in a negative state get into a positive state, okay? And a lot of these are drawn from positive psychology. I just finished up a master's degree in applied positive psychology. And the important part about the applied is it's stuff that you can actually do in your life. So let's talk about flow. The concept of flow is like when you're in the zone, you know, time flies when you're having fun. And this concept was developed. There are actually a couple books by the same name that describe flow. They're by a guy named Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which I'm not going to spell right now. I'm going to go for a really long time. Okay, that's my daughter. It's her birthday today. It's not live. Anyway, so flow is basically the idea that you have how challenging a task is, and your ability to do the task or the activity, okay? And so there's kind of a sweet spot in the middle, right? Because if you have a task or a goal, right, that is too challenging and you have a low ability, so you have very little ability and it's very challenging, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get into the angry, frustrated, I want to quit, negative emotion category. At the same time, if something is not very challenging and your ability to do the task is really high, or maybe like you're overqualified, like you're a PhD physicist and you're taking extension cords and winding them up all day, right? Your ability is high, the challenge is low. You also get into negative emotions, but it's sort of a different category. It's more like boredom, malaise, like blah. So the sweet spot is, what are the tasks that are sufficiently challenging where you have somewhat ability, but your ability to do them, like you're equal to the task, as they like to say. So when you can kind of keep in this middle zone where there's a balance, that's where you get that positive emotion, right? That's where you get that sense of like, yeah, I did a thing. I love Clarkson's Farm and Jeremy Clarkson. It's on Amazon. He bought a farm. He's really bad at being a farmer. And when he succeeds at something, he goes, I did a thing. And that's when he's in the sweet spot. Okay, so that is number 1 technique when you are in, well, first, pay attention to what gets you into flow. Second, when you get into the negative emotions that bring you down, actively make a choice to do something that puts you into flow, and it will change how you feel. Okay? Number 2 is curiosity. And I did a project on curiosity for my program. I had something, I don't know how to say this without violating privacy. So let's take a common thing of like somebody cuts you off in traffic, right? You're like, oh, they're so stupid. Why are they driving? All those Tesla people don't know what they're doing. Sorry, got a little Tesla bias going on here. So, okay, let's take that. I have a bias that Tesla people do stuff all the time. Like, let's just generalize it though. Like, I start asking questions. Let me back up. So I did this, I had something go wrong with my family. I was really frustrated with one of my children, like out of my mind, not understanding. And I thought, okay, what if I apply a little bit of curiosity? And I sat down with pen and paper and I wrote out like 21 questions, right? So if we go back to the people cutting you off in traffic, why are they doing that? What could have happened to them today that made it so they're not attentive? Ooh, do I ever do that? I wonder how many people do that thing where you just don't pay attention in traffic every day, right? Because what if it's like 90% of the people do that? It's like, oh, maybe it's super normal, right? Is it true that Tesla drivers seem to just do things more often? Or is it me? Am I just noticing when Tesla drivers do it more than other drivers? Huh. Well, why would I be noticing? Why would I be noticing Teslas more than other cars? Is it because like I secretly think they're cool? Do I have a bias toward cars? And does that mean something? Like, so do I genuinely have a bias, not just toward Teslas, but am I actually projecting favorable emotions toward fellow minivan drivers? You know, like minivan drivers are okay because I am one. But, you know, those people, you know, I don't cut them the same slack. Is there any research that talks about people cutting people off in traffic? Has anyone ever tried to reduce this behavior? Are there certain ages of people that do it more than others, so that maybe I should cut them some slack? Okay, you kind of see where this is going. And the point is not necessarily to answer all these questions unless your curiosity drives you to answer them. But the point is, it's really, really difficult to be curious and to ask, like to genuinely think about something and ask genuine questions and be mad or sad or frustrated at the same time. And when I did that with this situation, with something one of my kids had done, like I got into a place of sort of like a feeling of non-judgment and being more open to understanding them. And that feeling lasted like a week or two before I started to get frustrated again. But there's a really great book on curiosity that I will come back. I want to do a whole course on curiosity that's by, I think it's by Todd Kashdan, Kashdan. He may have a co-author that is just, it's really, really fantastic. But yeah, you can't be curious and have negative emotions at the same time. So give that a try. The third one is altruism. And this follows kind of the same principle. Altruism is basically like service, right? Like, what can you do to help other people? And it's a really easy thing that you can do daily, right? So you can do it daily. It's easy. I love those videos. One of these popped up in my feed today where you have the guys who they're in a wheelchair, or the one I loved was the guy, I think it's the same guy, I don't know, but he's standing at the top of an escalator in a mall, and he's holding on and he's trying to step on, but he's acting like he can't do it without help. And you watch all the people go by, and then finally somebody stops and is like, they don't show you what people say, but somebody finally stops and says, you know, hey, can I help you? And they take his arm and they go down the escalator. It just gives you real hope for humanity. But there are things that you can do every day to practice altruism, and you can exercise your curiosity to look and see, you know, what could I do? Yep, bye, my baby's leaving. We came to my office space to do a photo shoot because her birthday's today. Okay, so you can do it daily. It's easy. You can just ask questions of like, what nice thing could I do for someone today? Oh, so one story, there was this was told in church one time. This lady had really rough marriage, like super mad at her husband, like throw the dinner plate across the room and smash it on the floor, kind of upset. So really bad divorce. And her pastor said, well, here's what I want you to do for the next 30 days, because she really liked baking, right? So then we're getting into using our strengths, which I was going to do a video on strengths today, but I changed my mind. So, but she was really good at baking. So he said, what I want you to do is use your strength, your talent of baking. I want you to bake something every day and go and give what you bake away to somebody else. And she talked about how that just completely changed her perspective and got herself out of her head and out of the negative emotions, right? Because again, the positive emotion of doing things for other people can replace the negative emotions. So it's daily, it's easy. You can use curiosity. You can draw on your strengths. You can actually also say, like, what gets me into flow? What do I like to do that I could go and use in helping other people? And yeah, so we'll add flow on there. So this principle of you're in negative emotions and you want to transition out of those and get into positive emotions. This is also based on something that was developed by Barbara Fredrickson. I want to say she's out of the University of North Carolina. That's called the broaden and build theory. It's the broaden and build theory of emotion. And basically, when you're in a state of positive emotions, and there's all kinds of experiments that they've done with this, that when you're in a state of positive emotions, you are more creative. You have access to more creative thoughts. You have greater ability to brainstorm and develop solutions and things like that. When you're in a state of negative emotions, your focus narrows and you can't see possibilities that you would see when you're in one of these states, right? Like when I'm frustrated with my kid, all I can see is my kid and how frustrated I am, right? But when I exercise curiosity and I get myself to kind of calm down and get in a curious state, I can see way more things that impact the situation than I could before, okay? So, broaden and build is that positive emotions can overcome negative emotions. Positive emotions don't coexist well with other emotions. They kind of take them over. They're kind of more powerful, even though sometimes they feel like they're not. If you can consciously choose them, they are more powerful. And she talks about an upward spiral of positive emotions that the more you consciously practice initiating or like just practice doing things that bring positive emotion into your life, then the more positive emotion you will have. And when you're doing things that are pro-social, when you're doing things that are altruistic, you're also creating a communal upward spiral of positive emotions that then stretches out to other people, right? Because if you're living with a family or you're living with roommates and you're having negative emotions, do you think you're the only one it impacts? No. So when you can get yourself over into the positive state, it impacts others, and just by doing that, you can make the world a better place. So this is my challenge for you today, is pay attention to your emotions. Are they crushing your purpose? Are they just crushing your general sense of well-being for the day? And if so, practice one of these things. Either pick something that you love to do and get into flow, start asking yourself questions about it. And this works really well because you're using your body to write down the questions. You can do it just talking out loud, but something about writing and involving your body is also super helpful. Or just go out and do something nice for somebody. Go through the Taco Bell line and pay for the person behind you, you know? Or if you live in a place where there's street musicians, you know, throw them $1. I think the biggest thing that made me understand altruism was when my dad died. I had 3 kids. They were like 5, 3, and 1. And my neighbor down the street came to my house and she said, "Give me your kids." And she kept my kids for like 3 days while I did everything with funeral planning, and it was a whole big deal. Because he died in one state, had to get him to the other. Anyway, so she took my kids for 3 days. I didn't see them. I trusted her to take care of them. And she had a lot going on for herself anyway. And she said later, and she would tell the story occasionally over the years when she still lived in our neighborhood, about how she thought she had problems and she'd been really wrapped up in her own difficulties. But when she was able to do that for me, even though it was a hard thing for her to do, it just flooded her life with positive emotions, because she knew she was doing something that I really needed, and that was really important to my kids and really important to my family. So yeah, when you make the choice to actively do something, to flip your switch, it makes a difference, and that difference and that positivity goes out in ripples. So that's my Saturday ramble. That's my challenge for you, and I hope you use it to have a great weekend. Take care. I'll see you next time.